I want to know what you've observed with Oneil Cruz. I feel like in some ways he's the key to the season. I know there's a lot of other questions and keys, but man, he needs to be great. Is he moving around the same way where if you watched him, you wouldn't know he was ever injured?
I don't know if I can say that, Joe, but he's moving around well. I don't see any obvious signs of the injury. I don't see any limp. I don't see any, any inability to get some balls in the infield. The first day we were watching him very closely, the first day of full squad workouts, and, he wasn't sharp. But I think some of that's rust. And I say this in fairness, some of the balls that he was missing, Brian Hayes was missing balls. This was the day after a complete downpour on Sunday, just rained all day, and they were practicing on a turf field. So it might have just been, guys kind of working out some kinks. But he looks noticeably stronger, more muscular. That's a good thing for the Pirates. And I don't think there's as much concern with Oneil's ability and dexterity in terms of playing shortstop as maybe there is with him running the bases and sliding. I think those were the two tests that the Pirates were most concerned with in this offseason. They had some videos that they were sending from the Dominican Republic to Pirates manager Derek Shelton, and he saw him, running the bases. He saw him sliding, but that's where Oneil expressed that there were some trust issues that he had to overcome, was, trusting that ankle could handle sharp turns and that he would not panic like he did when he was injured on the slide into home plate against the White Sox on April 9th.
So I would imagine this early in camp, you haven't seen him at full sprint in any situation, have you? Like legging out a triple or something?
No, I think we'll see that probably this weekend, hopefully this weekend when they start playing games on Saturday and Sunday. That hopefully we'll get a chance to see, the real Oneil Cruz in every facet.
The two main questions, other than that, for me are, when do we see Paul Skenes, and have you seen him close up yet throwing the ball?
Yes, I've actually watched him throw the ball a few times, once in a bullpen session, and then today throwing live batting practice. And, you hear people talk about how the ball comes out of his hand heavy, and about how, obviously he throws with very high velocity, a guy who touches triple digits with little effort. What I saw today sitting behind the batting cage and videoing it, which I have a tweet of him throwing a live BP, I saw it against Nick Gonzalez. I tweeted about him. I tweeted a video of him pitching to Joshua Palacios, but I saw the movement. And when you're seeing the high velocity come in and then the movement at the end of the pitch as it's crossing the plate, you just see how dangerous the guy becomes. And the other thing is when you see him in person, and it's not just limited to Paul Skenes, but for a guy who's 21 years old to see this, when you see him in person and you stand next to him, you see just how big he is. And then you see that extension coming down the mound. I mean, we're talking about a guy 6'6.5", 250 pounds, and still has room to fill out physically in his upper body. This is a guy who's an imposing presence and is certainly going to be one on the mound. And I really just think it's just a matter of Pirates fans practicing a little bit of patience, which is, kind of like a four-letter word to them. But this is a guy who simply needs to work on pitching every 5 days after being a Friday night starter in college, and has to work on using all 5 of his pitches in his repertoire, because he really didn't have to throw much other than, his fastball and slider in college. And in fact, I asked one of his minor league coaches last year about his changeup, and he said the problem with his changeup at LSU was that it was bat speed level for college hitters. It was almost giving them a break. So these are just pitches he hasn't used because he hasn't needed them. And I think that's what we're going to see.